Welcome. I'm dropping a short video today. My ultimate goal is to produce new content daily. I'm not there yet. It's hard to find decent sovereign citizen and First Amendment auditor videos that I can comment on and yet keep my research notes and comments short. So, before I introduce the video, let's get started.
Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Do it for my human FN. Thanks.
Today's video is from Honor Your Oath Civil Rights Investigations. I don't understand this type of audit. The auditor is standing at the Tennessee Welcome Center holding a scrap of cardboard as a handwritten sign reading "God bless the homeless vets." As people would walk past him, on their way to the restrooms, he would say, "Welcome to Tennessee and God bless the homeless vets." Admittedly, he did not have anything indicating he was collecting any money, nor did he ask for any donations. So, while he was not by definition panhandling, he was skirting the rules as close as he could, without stepping over the line.
I'm here at the Welcome Center in Tennessee, State Welcome Center. This is the Welcome Center as you enter Tennessee from Kentucky going southbound.
This frauditor performs this little act in lots of different places. He uses the same or a similar sign every time. I'm going to include his actual sign from one of his videos. As you will see, it looks remarkably similar to what most of us would quickly look at, and assume to be someone begging. Now let's look at real photos of actual people panhandling on the street. Now, what would you think was happening if you were hurriedly walking to the restroom and you saw a person standing near the entrance, holding a piece of cardboard with "God Save the Homeless Vets" written on it? Let's take one more look at the frauditor's sign, before you decide what you'd think.
Hello, sir.
Sir.
Welcome to Tennessee. God bless the homeless veterans.
Sir, come here.
Can you come over here?
Come over here and talk to me.
The officer asks our frauditor to come over and speak with him. This won't fit in with the frauditor's goal of capturing the entire conversation on camera, and asks the officer to come to him instead.
Can you come over here and talk to me? How may I help you?
Hey, panhandling is illegal, right?
That's fine. I agree. What's that got to do with me?
Okay.
The officer is clearly reacting to what he observed, his impression based on the sign, and letting the person know what the law says.
Oh, you're panhandling.
How do you know that?
Because you're requesting people for money and donations.
Have you seen me do that?
That's what he's saying.
He's wrong.
All
Alright.
Now we hear the officer say he has received information from a reliable witness that the frauditor has been requesting money. We don't know if this has, or has not happened because the original video has been highly edited. However, to give the frauditor credit, where credit might be due, I suspect it has not occurred.
well, they've asked you to leave the property.
Well, they don't have the authority to do that.
Okay. So what are you doing out here?
I'm simply standing in front of a war memorial, or a veterans memorial, underneath the American flag,
Right.
the flag of Tennessee, and is that the flag of Tennessee?
Ha ha ha. Seriously? You are welcoming people to Tennessee, but you don't know what the Tennessee flag looks like. Please take note of this. It becomes important to my later discussions.
Yeah, state flag.
And POW flag, and I'm just saying God bless the homeless veterans, people coming and going, saying welcome to Tennessee, God bless the homeless veterans, while I stretch my legs.
Okay.
That's all I'm doing. And he walked out and he said there's no panhandling, and I said I agree. I'm not panhandling. They said that's okay.
That's okay. I'll get somebody out here to get rid of you.
Okay.
I'm like,
you haven't been requesting anybody?
No, sir.
Requesting money from anybody?
not a penny.
No? You haven't been like walking up to people's cars, knocking on the windows,
No,
like that,
no.
asking for money?
No, sir.
No? You got any ID on you?
Am I suspected of a crime or anything?
Doesn't matter.
You have to suspect me of a crime to want ID.
Many states have made it illegal to refuse to provide certain identifying information to a law enforcement officer, when the officer has properly requested it. These laws are commonly referred to as stop and identify laws. The Supreme Court has upheld these laws. Tennessee, however, does not have a stop and identify law. The Supreme Court has held that the Fourth Amendment prohibits a police officer from stopping an individual to ask for their name, unless the police officer has a reasonable, articulable suspicion, based on objective facts, that the individual is involved in criminal activity. So, the question must be asked, for what purpose is the officer asking for the frauditor's identity? His answer, articulating his suspicion, is likely to sound something to the effect of, I have an unknown person standing in front of me, holding a sign that by outward appearances is of the kind typically used by panhandlers. I have information from a reliable source, the manager of the facility, that the person is panhandling. Panhandling is a criminal activity. I, as a police officer, have the right to make such inquiries as are necessary to either confirm or deny that criminal activity is occurring. As a lawful action, I may inquire about the person's identity, as a part of this line of inquiry. My reason for my need for his name is to check this person's criminal record, to verify if this person has a history of committing the same, or similar crimes. Criminals are not always likely to immediately admit to committing a crime.
You don't, actually. I'm here talking to you.
Yeah.
And since I've made contact with you, and I'm requesting you to identify yourself, you have to do so. That's the law.
Well, sir, I'm engaged in a constitutionally protected activity safeguarded by the First Amendment. This is freedom of speech, freedom of religion on public property, and therefore I am not giving any ID unless, well, I get it in my pocket right here.
Okay.
There's my I, and there's my D.
Yeah, I got you.
This frauditor might think his little gag is funny, but by skirting so close to the line, he has unwittingly provided this officer with reasonable, articulable suspicion enough to request that he produce identification.
You got a driver's license?
I'm not going to answer any more questions. Like I said,
Do you drive here?
I'm not going to answer any questions. I'm not going to answer any more questions. I'm just, like I said, I'm going to stretch my legs for about 30, 45 minutes, and I'll be on my way.
Okay. How'd you get here, though?
I'd rather not answer any
Did you
questions.
walk up the interstate?
I'm not answering.
Assuming you didn't walk all the way from Kentucky, right?
No.
You didn't walk all the way here on the interstate, did you?
I did not, no.
Okay.
But
So you're saying none of these vehicles are yours?
I'm not saying that. I didn't answer any questions.
Okay.
Even if you believe that no reasonable suspicion exists, the behavior of this frauditor, as polite and non-violent as it might be, is only deepening the officer's suspicion that this person is purposely being evasive to conceal his involvement in a criminal act. To wit, panhandling.
We got a driver's license on you?
I'm not answering.
How about I just get your name?
My name is Jeff.
Jeff what?
I'm not going to give my last name.
The Supreme Court has left unresolved whether a person can invoke the Fifth Amendment's self-incrimination clause to refuse to state a name in a non-traffic stop, pre-arrest situation.
You're not going to give your last name?
No, sir.
Alright, well.
I'll just be out here about another 30, 45 minutes, and I'll be on my way. I'm just stretching my legs just like everybody else here. Except for I just like to say God bless homeless vets while I do it.
I got you. I'm a veteran myself, actually. Yeah, served in the Marine Corps for 4 years before I came here.
Okay.
Yeah.
God bless you. Thank you for your service.
Yeah, thank you. Well, we're at a bit of a standstill here because I got to identify it. I mean, I ask you for your identification and your name and everything, and you have to identify yourself. So.
But I'm not suspected of a crime, sir.
This is factually inaccurate. The officer has the suspicion that this person, now known only as Jeff, could be committing the crime of panhandling. The officer has not been able, as yet, to confirm or deny that the crime has occurred. The officer is still in the middle of his investigation of the situation.
Well, that in that you're committing a crime.
What am I committing?
The officer might be considering this failure to identify as being disorderly conduct. It is doubtful that a court would find such action, when viewed in the totality of the situation, as being disorderly. However, this situation could have been brought to a quick resolution by a greater degree of cooperation by the frauditor. But of course, as we all are well aware, cooperation by frauditors does not make compelling videos. Just as there is not a great deal of compelling video in my review of the situation.
Not identifying yourself.
But I have to have been suspected of committing a crime.
You're not exhibiting.
How you doing, sir?
I'm good. I'm standing here, like I was explaining to Trooper Phillips. What's your name, Trooper? My name is Jeff. I've told him that. I'm stretching my legs. I stopped here, use the bathroom, stretch my legs just like everybody else does. And while I'm doing so, I'm standing in front of this Veterans Memorial underneath the American flag, the POW flag, and the state of Tennessee flag, saying God bless the homeless veterans, and that's all I'm doing.
But have they asked you to leave?
They have not.
They got called saying they asked you to leave and you didn't want to leave.
No, what he did is he came out and he said, there's no panhandling. And I said, I understand, I'm not panhandling.
Yeah, I see the sign.
I'm just saying God bless the homeless veterans. He has not asked me to leave other than the trooper just said that they've asked me to leave.
Okay, well, let me go talk to him. If he wants you to leave, we might have to ask you to leave for this police. But not bad, I'm asking for money.
I'm engaged in constitutional protected. It's freedom of speech, freedom of religion on public property.
As you can see by the officer's questions, he is attempting to understand the nature of the situation to which he has been called. His questions are clearly designed to ascertain if criminal conduct is being committed. Nothing more, and nothing less. Further, by answering the officer's questions, the frauditor has allowed the officers to take the next step in their investigation, which is to interview witnesses. They will do this by stepping away and talking to the manager of the Welcome Center.
I was just gonna, my legs are, you sit in the car for so long.
Let's go talk to, we're gonna go talk to the manager.
Your dad's got a group of people now.
Okay, understood.
One of the common refrains we hear from frauditors is that police either don't understand the law, or they are unduly forceful in their attempts to suppress frauditors' rights. None of this is borne out in this interaction. In fact, by at least being polite to the officers, this frauditor has allowed the officers to perform their duties quickly and without a lot of controversy. That being said, this frauditor has pushed the very limits of the law.
Yes, sir.
What's going on, man?
I am just stretching my legs, that's all. I stopped out here to stretch my legs for about 30 minutes, 45 minutes, just like everybody else does, use the restroom, and I like to just say God bless homeless veterans, that's all.
How long you been here?
About 25 minutes now. So, and he did come out, like he came out and said that I'm not allowed to panhandle, and I said I agree, I'm not panhandling.
Yeah, that's what he told us.
3394.
God dang.
He never asked me to leave or anything, so.
I got you. Oh, so he doesn't want you out here as far as appearing like you're panhandling. I understand you're not trying to panhandle.
It has probably become obvious to you, the viewer, that the officer now has a full understanding about the facts and circumstances of this situation. He has interviewed everyone, and he will do his best to balance the rights of the frauditor and the desire of the management.
I just when I stop at rest areas, especially if there's a Veterans Memorial, like while I'm stretching my legs, use the restroom, I like to get out of the vehicle for a while because I stay in the vehicle for a long time, and just really get my legs stretched out.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. Are you just driving around, or are you working for a company?
I'd rather not answer questions like that right now. I am on a road trip. But
This is where I just don't understand frauditors. While it is true that the government, in the person of the officer, is tasked with protecting individual rights to free speech, there is also an implicit duty on the part of every citizen to cooperate with the government in order for them to protect those very same rights. There simply must be a give and take in this consensual relationship, for the one side to exercise his individual right to freedom of speech, for the other side to understand how best to protect that right, but yet not interfere with others' rights as well. Each person's rights stop where others' rights begin. I feel like a lot of frauditors never consider the idea that police have a difficult job of protecting one single individual's rights, in a society in which everyone has individual rights. Frauditors seem to believe that their rights take a superior position to everyone else's rights.
There's nothing wrong with that. We're just out here shooting the bull at this point.
I sincerely appreciate how the officers have now dispelled the idea that a crime has been committed, and are now just talking with the frauditor. Not every interaction with police need be hostile. Outside of being a police officer, they are people just like everyone else.
Well, let me see if he's willing to give you 15-20 minutes. Because I said they do run the complex here, so.
All right.
It is up to them, and they do have the authority to ask people to leave.
Okay.
But
If I'm violating their rules or if I'm violating the law or something, I don't think they can just tell whoever they want to leave to leave.
They have the authority, especially if you're not going to identify yourself on property, because it's state property. We do have to have a reason to inquire ID.
All right.
So
Well, I'd like to stay for another 15 minutes. If he says that's okay, I will.
Okay.
If he wants me to leave, I don't want to get arrested for trespassing or anything like that.
We're not trying to start anything.
right.
We're just where you're doing the job. That's all. So
right.
I appreciate you understanding.
Understood.
Let me go talk to him real quick.
Okay.
I'm not sure you could ask for a better officer for this situation. Though it's not technically within his duties, this officer is willing to take on the task of negotiating a reasonable settlement between the management of the Welcome Center and the frauditor.
Alright, dude, so here's I talked to him, and look, you're not causing issues out here.
Okay.
As long as you're not causing issues, you're not raising your voice at people in any kind of profanity manner, which you haven't done, nobody's accusing you of doing.
Okay.
If you want to peacefully stand out here with your sign, we'll give you till 2 o'clock.
Okay.
2 o'clock, then we'll ask you to leave, okay?
All right.
Sound like a plan?
That sounds good.
All right, thanks, man.
Appreciate it, guys.
Yes, sir.
Hi, sir.
All right.
Be safe.
Y'all stay safe.
Many auditors, especially Chile de Castro, often bring up the idea of social contract theory. The ideas of which are lengthy and somewhat esoteric, but which are essentially that, to maintain the ability of having a stable and safe society, there is an agreement between the government and the governed. That certain amounts of individual rights are abdicated to the government, in order to obtain the benefits of safety and order. Famous social contract theorists, Thomas Hobbes said that in a state of nature, human life would be solitary, poor, nasty, brutish and short. That in our natural state, we would operate no differently than animals. That in the absence of political order and law, everyone would have unlimited natural freedoms, including the right to all things, and thus the freedom to plunder, rape and murder. There would be an endless, quote, war of all against all, end quote. People could steal to obtain the things they wanted or needed. People could kill one another with impunity. To avoid this, free men agree with each other to establish political communities, a social order, through a social agreement, a constitution, in which they all gain security in return for subjecting themselves to an absolute sovereign, such as the local, state or federal government. Hobbes argued that government was the only alternative to the terrifying anarchy of a state of nature. Hobbes asserted that humans consent to abdicate, a small percentage their animalistic rights, in favor of the authority of government. I truly do not understand why the auditor wanted to push his individual right to free speech to its maximum, by the tactics of deception. However, the government, in the form of the officer, responded, with grace, and honor. It's an understood obligation, to balance the rights of everyone, and the officer did that, expertly. Thank you for taking the time to watch my video. I hope I provided you with some valuable information and something to think about.
Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Do it for my human FN. Thanks.